You are now listening to the Box Seat Boys podcast.
What's up, guys? It's Josh from the Boxy Boys back with, I guess we're going to start with episode 1. Because we had a short layoff. We're going to start fresh with episode 1 because we're back as part of the B.S.N network. So I want to thank everyone that stuck with us when we had that short layoff. But we're back. I want to show my gratitude and thanks to the B.S.N network for getting us back into the game, honestly. We love what we do. We love talking about sports and bringing our opinions and thoughts to you guys, the listeners. So what better way than to come back as part of the B.S.N network? For those of you who are not familiar with our show, we're going to talk about the world of sports. We're not going to talk about a specific town, city, region, league. We're going to talk about it all because that's what we love to do. And when I say we, I mean myself and my co-host Joel, who is not with me today. I'm riding solo today, but he will be with me in the future. And just to give you guys a little bit of a background on myself and Joel, if you are not familiar, I'm going to give that to you. So Joel and I went to college together. We played baseball together in college. We were roommates. And after we graduated, we stayed in touch. I mean, we were such good friends that we text every day talking about sports. So, can't remember when exactly, but we decided, hey, let's turn this into a podcast. Let's get our thoughts, what we talk about, our debates at times, to the people. So that's what we did. And we had a little bit of a layoff, took some time off. I moved from Florida to Maryland, so definitely needed some time there. But again, the B.S.N network reached out to us and said, hey, we'd love to have you as part of the network. And I couldn't think of a better network to be part of. So I want to thank you, those guys, for reaching out and getting us part of that network. And like I said, I'm excited to be back. And I know Joel right now is not with me, but we were talking earlier. He can't wait to get back on the mic. I'm sure he's got some things to say about his Steelers and some Ben Roethlisberger talk. But like I said, we're going to talk about everything. And today, as I'm riding solo, I'm going to talk about pretty much everything. I'm going to talk some college football. I'm going to talk some NFL. I'm going to talk MLB Playoffs. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about the NBA. Season's coming up, so we got to mention it. So I'm going to start with some college football. I mean, so far, Clemson, we're going to start right off the bat with Clemson. They lose Deshaun Watson. They get this kid Kelly Bryant in. And they slowed down a little bit. But, man, that defense is phenomenal. They're number 2 right now behind Alabama. I don't know, man. They might be the best team in the country. They might be the best team in the country. They have one game left? One tough game left. Not one game left. One tough game left against NC State, who a lot of people were saying kind of was that sleeper team in the ACC. And, you know, they defensively are a solid team. But if Clemson gets going, I don't know if they're going to be able to stick with them. So I could definitely see Clemson running the table. The only way that I could have seen Clemson faltering is if Louisville would have beat them, or like a Virginia Tech, even a Florida State if they had Francois back. Obviously, he's not coming back, but it's just I don't think there's a team in the ACC that's going to take Clemson down, and I think they might be the best team. If they're not the best team, they definitely deserve that number 2 spot then, because they're right up there. Alabama, if you're not familiar with myself, Alabama is my favorite team, but I'm not convinced they're the best team in the country either. Now, they beat Texas A&M. Their defense played pretty well. They've romped on a lot of teams that they've played. Their defense is, again, probably, I don't know the exact stats, probably best in the country. If not top 5, probably. But here's my thing that concerns me. Jalen Hurts is a sophomore and hasn't gotten better. I honestly think throwing-wise, he's gotten worse. He's very inaccurate. Now, he can run the ball with the best of them. But if teams take that away, like the good teams, the Clemsons, the probably Penn States would be able to do that. He's going to be forced to throw the ball, and you see his receivers very frustrated. Calvin Ridley, every game is frustrated because throws are missed. So, do I think Alabama is going to run the table? Honestly, probably. I don't know if they're national championship worthy, though. I'm not sure. One of the teams I definitely thought was going to make that jump this year, was going to be really good this year, was Oklahoma. And they have been. They have been extremely impressive, especially with Baker Mayfield. And then they go out this past week and lose to Iowa State. Iowa State's quarterback threw the ball 24 times for 343 yards and 3 touchdowns. If Iowa State's quarterback is doing that, what is Mason Rudolph going to do from Oklahoma State? Or any other good quarterback going to do against that secondary? I really thought Oklahoma was a sure-in for the playoffs. Now, they still have a chance. One-loss teams obviously get in. Clemson lost last year, ended up winning the year before that. Alabama won the national championship. They lost to Ole Miss, and then the year before that, I believe, Ohio State won. They had a loss on their record. So it's not impossible. But, man, they have a couple tough games left. I don't know if they're going to be able to make that jump back into the top 4 with some of the teams we got. One of the other teams I'm extremely impressed with is Penn State. Penn State's number 4. I like Trace McSorley. He is... there's something about that kid that I like. He's not going to put up the 450-yard passing and 11 TDs like some of these Pac-12 quarterbacks are. But he's going to get the job done. And when you have Sesquan Barkley or whatever, however you pronounce his first name, when you have that kid at running back and catching the ball out of the backfield, you don't have to do a whole heck of a lot. Now, Barkley was held under 100 yards. I don't know if that's the first time this season, but it definitely feels like it. Still had 2 touchdowns. The kid is amazing. Penn State is playing phenomenal. They won the Big Ten last year. It really seems like they could get in this year. They have some tough games, though. They have a Michigan game that definitely seemed like a little bit tougher of a game a few weeks ago. Now Michigan's kind of struggling. They have Ohio State, who is always a good team, but I don't know if they're Penn State good. Now, they're always going to play Penn State hard. It's always going to be a good game. So if they do falter, it's not a huge surprise. You know, it's not like they're going to lose to an Indiana or something like that. But those two games right there are tough. Those are tough games. And I believe, I'm going to check right now. But I think that they still have to play Wisconsin. Now, let me take a look. So, no, not Wisconsin. Michigan State, who quietly is 4-1. So, you're looking at a team that has 3 ranked games left. And then the Big Ten Championship, which most likely will be against Wisconsin. So they're a great team. They just have a tough road. So I'm not sure if they're going to get in. The other teams that I've watched, obviously Wisconsin, Washington again. Georgia has been playing out of their heads. Sony Michel is running all over the place on people. Washington State is offensively a powerhouse. I mean, they have probably one of my favorite quarterbacks in the country. But I think, honestly, once you get past Alabama and Clemson, anything could happen. And anything could happen with those two teams, too. So, here's my prediction. Here's my 14 prediction. I have Alabama, and the only way I see them not making it is if they lose to Auburn at the end of the season, or if they lose in the SEC championship, which would probably be to Georgia. Those are the only two real tests I think they have. And the reason I think that, both teams play pretty good defense. And they have the ability to spy Jalen Hurts and take away the run game. I won't say take away the run game because it's really hard to stop Damian Harris, Bo Scar. I mean, they have 5 running backs that can tote the load. But I just don't see them losing, honestly. Clemson's the same way. I really don't see them losing. Is there a team in the ACC that's going to beat Clemson? I'm looking at their schedule right now. Here's what they have left. This week, Syracuse. No. Georgia Tech. I guess they pose a threat, but no. NC State's the only one. NC State could be the one. That's November 4th. I still don't see it happening. Florida State, we know the dumpster fire that they are. Citadel. I mean, if you wanna put money on the Cinderella there, go ahead, but it's not happening. And South Carolina. That game's interesting. South Carolina, they have this quarterback, Bentley. He's got 12 touchdowns, 4 picks, I think. He's thrown for almost 1,500 yards already. He's a good QB. But what's he going to do when he faces Clemson? That's the thing. None of these teams have faced a defense like Clemson. Now, South Carolina beat NC State first week. So that gives me a little bit of hope that they could lose. But again, I see them running the table. And even if they run the table and go to the ACC championship game, who are they going to play? They're going to probably play who? Georgia Tech again. Miami's doing pretty well this year. Do I think they're going to lose to either of those teams? Probably not. You know, it's very favorable for them because of that defense. They can carry Kelly Bryant, which not necessarily saying they have. He's been playing pretty well. But towards the end of the year, when he gets a little bit more comfortable and he starts playing a little bit more comfortable and confidently and starting to look like a Deshaun Watson, that team's going to be a tough out. That team is going to be a tough out. So Bama and Clemson are my I think automatics. Now nothing's automatic, but those are my automatics. I think Wisconsin out of the Big Ten is going. Now a lot of people just heard me talk about Penn State and how good they were. Well, here's the thing. I told you Penn State who they have. Michigan, Ohio State, Michigan State, and then if they make it to the Big Ten, then they have Wisconsin. So they have a tough road. Well, Wisconsin, let's read their schedule. Let's take a look at their schedule. So they have Purdue, Maryland, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Michigan, Minnesota. Honestly, yes, Michigan's 17th. Iowa might be the toughest game they have left. Now, how good are they really? I mean, I don't really know. Because they've played Utah State, FAU, BYU, Northwestern, and Nebraska. They haven't played an overly difficult schedule, but they don't play an overly difficult schedule to finish off the year. So they could very well get to the Big Ten championship and then get smoked by Penn State. Or get smoked by Ohio State or whoever they play. I just think because of, I don't want to say the ease of schedule, but the lesser of two evils between them and Penn State schedule-wise, they're going to be healthier, they're going to be fresher, they're not going to be in dogfights. I think they have a better shot. And then the last team is a toss-up, really. I mean, I think it's going to be kind of like a play-in game. It's going to be whoever wins the Washington State game is going to be the fourth team. Those two teams basically are playing out the season, playing some scrimmages until they play each other at the last week of the season. And whoever wins that game is probably going to get in. So, I hope Washington State makes it. I would love to see Washington State make it. Let's get a new team in there. So I'm going to go Bama 1, Clemson 2, Wisconsin 3, Washington State 4. That's what I'm going with. And just looking at the schedules, it's very possible that we see that. It's very possible all four of those teams lose the last week of the season or in the conference championship game, and none of them make it, but that's what I'm going with. I also have two players that I'm going to watch the rest of the year, and then some of you, if you're college football fans, might not be familiar with them, and probably because they're on the West Coast. And we're going to go first the running back from Stanford. Now, he's gotten a lot of recognition lately because of what he just did. Broke Christian McCaffrey's record for rushing yards in a game or whatever the record was. But through 6 games, he has 1,240 yards and 9 touchdowns. He's averaging 10.5 yards an attempt. Now, that's insane. I want to see. Now, I'm not watching because I think Stanford's going to be a title contender or anything like that. I'm watching because I want to see what this kid is going to maintain. Can he maintain this? And if he does, where's he going in the draft? I mean, if you look at 2015, 2016, he only had 29 carries in 2015, but he still averaged 7.8 yards a carry. Last year he had 111 carries, averaged 7.1 yards a carry. He can catch the ball a little bit, but, I mean, now that he's not in the shadow of McCaffrey and they're giving him the ball more, we are seeing a star being born. A star. And I want to see what the rest of the season holds for him because he can be unbelievable. I mean, he could be a Heisman guy if he maintains this easily. Everyone's talking about Darnold and Rosen and Baker Mayfield and Barkley and these guys. No one's giving love to Bryce Love. Yet. Yeah, I think the next few weeks we're going to start hearing his name a little bit more. So he's definitely number 1. Number 2, I told you, probably my favorite quarterback in the country is Washington State. And the reason that he's probably my favorite quarterback is because I've watched him for, this is his 3rd year now. And every year it's impressive. 2015, 2016, both years, 38 touchdowns. 2016 he threw 11 picks, 2015 he threw 8 picks. He hovers right around 70% passing. Both years threw around 4,500 yards, give or take 50 yards. This year, 71.8% passing, his best year yet. Already 2,000 yards. 19 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Everyone's talking about, like I said, Darnold and Rosen and these guys going, 1, 2, 3 quarterback overall. This kid is phenomenal. And it's not like he's coming out of, I don't know, an FCS school, which Wentz did, and he's playing well. Kid's playing in the Pac-12, which historically put out pretty good quarterbacks. Minus Mark Sanchez. I mean, even his QBR, going from 2015 to 2017, 145.9, 145.6, and this year 158.3. That is insane. Projectable size, 6'4", 223. The kid's got it. If you have an opportunity to watch him, I don't know if all of his games are going to be at 10, 11 o'clock at night on the East Coast. But if you have a chance to watch a good college quarterback, watch this kid. Because I will guarantee he's a first rounder that not a lot of people know about. And if he's not a first rounder, someone's going to get a steal. So those two guys are who I'm really focusing on. Those are who I'm watching. Of course, I'm watching all the big names. But those two guys, everyone talks about the West Coast. They don't get a lot of love because they play so late on the East Coast. I'm showing two guys love right there. Those two guys are phenomenal, amazing players. And they're going to be playing on Sunday, so you'll be able to watch them. Upcoming week, the matchups, I mean, nothing crazy. You know, we don't have any 1 versus 3 or anything nuts. A couple that I'm looking forward to. Always Oklahoma, Texas. That's always a big matchup. Georgia Tech, Miami is a pretty good one. Texas Tech and WVU. TCU, Kansas State. I mean, we got a few Big 12 matchups that are pretty good. Of course, the 8 o'clock game on ABC is going to be the Utah-USC game. So, I mean, nothing crazy, but, you know, some solid football to watch if you're a college fan. Football, pro football, NFL, this year has been really strange. A really, really strange year. And here's a couple of the games that really just kind of blew my mind this week in the NFL. Let's start with the Steelers. And I wish Joel was on with me because I'm sure would be having a field day with this. Big Ben, what did he throw? 5 interceptions? And they lose 30-9 to the Jaguars. Now, the Jaguars' defense is pretty solid against the pass. I don't know if they're number 1, but they're up there. You have Le'Veon Bell, feed my man The Rock. He was frustrated last week. You had Antonio Brown frustrated. I mean, the Steelers, there's some issues going on. Big Ben, after the game, said maybe I just don't have it anymore. The Steelers were one of the teams that I really thought was an AFC contender, and I'm starting to second-guess my pick there. I didn't say they were going to the Super Bowl, but I thought they were going to be a pretty good team. And, wow. I really can't say anything else but wow. Other than that, the Patriots won. Eagles played phenomenal. Carson Wentz played very well. The Browns still winless. Not really surprised there. Jets, I don't know what's going on. Everyone was talking about them going 0-16 or 1-15, and they're 3-2. So if they were trying to tank, they don't do that very well. 49ers, they're obviously a dumpster fire still. They're winless. The Giants, I thought they were pretty good, but I was clearly wrong. I thought their offense was a pretty good team. Their defense, suspect, but I thought their offense would be all right. And obviously, losing Marshall and now OBJ, they're 0-5. It doesn't look very good for them. I was looking at their schedule. The Giants, they got the 49ers left. I would assume they could win that game. I don't want to assume anything anymore, though. The Cardinals, maybe. The Redskins, they have 2 against them they could win. 4 wins for the Giants this year. 5 wins if they play pretty well in another game. I think that's where their ceiling is. They're just not a good team. Now that OBJ's done, I was watching, I don't even remember what I was watching, what show it was. But this is how they explained the Giants, and this is exactly, it was to a T. Defense plays awful. Offense keeps it pretty close. OBJ makes a big play in the fourth quarter. Late in the fourth quarter. and the defense is a coin flip to see if they hold or not. And that's how they've been. Now they don't have OBJ to do something like that. Oh boy. They are not a good team this year. I don't know. You know, they were one of my I thought they were, what did I say? Wild card, I believe I said. I thought the Cowboys probably were going to win the division. But now they're probably in first place for the number 1 pick. Well, the 49ers and the Browns are pretty terrible too, but they could seriously just consider tanking and fixing some problems. The big thing that the whole week 5 was the Steelers and the Big Ben comments. Now, they've had issues. They've had issues with player suspensions, very opinionated players. But now you have Ben Roethlisberger saying he doesn't have it anymore. Clearly, it's a confidence thing. I mean, I personally am not a big fan of him. But if you're starting in the NFL, you can't go out there and think, yeah, maybe I don't have it. Not just today. Like, maybe I'm uncomfortable today. No, he just thinks he doesn't have it anymore. You can't have that mentality. You will get killed out there. It doesn't make sense. And now, obviously, during the game, I was ragging on Joel. You know, hey, man, what's going on? He doesn't think Big Ben is playing particularly great. But the play calling is what's killing him. Now, I didn't watch the Steelers game. But from what I understand, from Joel's opinion, who watches every Steelers game and has for as long as he can remember, the play calling is atrocious the last few years. Now, you tie that in with a quarterback that's not comfortable, a running back who just wants his money and touches, and a receiver that if you don't throw him the ball, he flips water coolers, and another receiver who's suspended every year for drugs. You got some problems. Pittsburgh. You got to figure it out. I don't know what the end result's going to be, if Ben retires or Le'Veon's gone, whatever the case is, there's going to be some changes in Pittsburgh. And honestly, for my co-host, I don't think he could be happier if they just, I don't want to say clean house, but did a little spring cleaning. Week 6. Some of the games that I'm going to watch or keep my eye on, obviously all of them. But on Thursday, finally a pretty good Thursday game. Last week was the Patriots, so I was obviously a little biased to that. But the Eagles and the Panthers this week, it's a pretty good game. Other games. Boy. The Patriots play the Jets. The Steelers and the Chiefs could be good. Really, this week, if you're going to watch, you're watching for fantasy. There's no matchups that are overly great. Let's see. The Rams and Jacksonville could be a good one. Could be a low-scoring affair there if you like defense. the Vikings and Green Bay, Detroit and the Saints, the Browns and the Texans. I mean, none of these games are phenomenal. So set your fantasy lineup. Listen to Joe's fantasy field goal. I'm sure he's got some nice tips for you this week. But I'm not super impressed with this lineup of games, probably because some of the teams I thought were going to be like this Steelers-Chiefs game should be unbelievable. Now it's like, I hope the Chiefs don't win by 3 touchdowns or maybe more. The Lions-Saints game. You know, that's an offensive firework game. Maybe. It's just so weird this year. I don't really know what's going to happen. So, I think the game to watch for me this week, minus my Patriots, I'm going to watch the Thursday night game for sure. I want to see how the Steelers play against the Chiefs. And I want to see... What's the other game? There's another game that I'm really intrigued by. Jacksonville and the Rams. Because those two defenses are pretty solid. And I want to see how Jacksonville does. Mostly, I want to see how the Rams call their offense. Jacksonville's bad against the run. Todd Gurley might be a good guy to get in daily fantasy or something like that, in my opinion. I'm not the expert. Joe is. Listen to his fantasy field goal, and he'll tell you what's good in fantasy. But that's my opinion on that. But yeah, man, NFL has been super weird this year. I can only imagine what it's going to be like week 13 or 14. Who knows what's going to happen? I'm just hoping the Patriots pick it up. I'm hoping maybe the Browns get a win. I mean, I would like to see them get a win. You can't, I mean, I don't like the Cavs or anything like that, but, I mean, they got to win eventually, right? They won once last year. Thought maybe the Jets were the game they were going to win, but they blew that. So, I don't know. I'm gonna move on to some pro baseball, some MLB. Playoffs are going on now. And based on, if you didn't listen to last time we had our show, we did a preseason picks type episode for baseball. And Joel and I basically picked every division winner. Every division winner we got right, which I don't think I've ever done that before. But the wild card, I don't remember who I picked, but I know I got him wrong. Joel got the Yankees right, that's for sure. I know he got the Yankees right because I was really upset about it. And the Yankees look pretty solid so far. But as for what's going on in the playoffs, really what it comes down to is the balls are juiced, and we're seeing more runs, and I'm sure ratings are going to be up. That's one thing. Another thing is the Astros are amazing. I don't think people understand how, I don't want to say how hard it is to hit a baseball, but at the pro level, the ability, the swing and miss factor is relevant for every team except the Astros. Like Carlos Correa went the first 3 games without swinging and missing. Jose Altuve, I don't think he ever misses. George Springer. These guys, you can't strike out. It's so hard to get them out. And that's why I think they're the toughest team in baseball. it's one thing to have a guy like Aaron Judge who strikes out 200 times and then hits 55 home runs. That's all great and well in today's day. But when you have a team that just won't die, and I mean quite literally won't die at the plate, there's a number of at-bats that I can remember in the Red Sox-Astros series where they worked the count full after a 1-2 count or an 0-2 count just by fouling pitches off. And it's like Altuve, and I'm like, dude, just walk him because he's going to hit a home run or he's going to hit a double. They have that it factor that could win them their first World Series. And I was a little hesitant on saying that they were that team until I started watching this Cleveland and New York series. Both those teams are good. I don't know if Cleveland's going to beat New York. Now, when this comes out, the series might be over. I don't know exactly when this is coming out, but Game 5, the Yankees weren't supposed to win this series. Just like they weren't supposed to win the division. Now, they didn't win the division, but the last few weeks of the season, they couldn't lose because they had nothing to lose. And I feel like we're seeing that again. They're playing loose. They're playing confident. They have CeCe going against, is Trevor Bauer? I think Trevor Bauer's throwing for the Indians. So, I mean, it's going to be a good pitching matchup. I'm not confident in saying the Indians are going to win that game. Where I was confident even when Sale pitched or Pomerantz or Pfister or any of the Red Sox pitchers came in, I wasn't confident in them getting the Astros out because I knew how tough of an out it would be, if that makes sense. Like they're gonna get to the bullpen, and they're gonna continue to do that. Now, Cleveland's bullpen, New York's bullpen, phenomenal. I honestly think way better than the Red Sox bullpen. Even the way Price pitched out of the bullpen, they're not as good as Cleveland or New York. But I don't think it matters. Onto the National League. The Nationals and the Cubs, I mean, everyone could kind of see this coming with the Cubs taking the lead. And probably, in my opinion, going to win the series. The Cubs in the playoffs, especially because of what they did last year, it's hard to pick against them. And then the Nationals, every time they play in the playoffs or a big game, they play awful. So I can't pick them. I can't. I refuse to. I mean, there isn't a team that I should say there isn't a situation where I would pick them over the Cubs. Even if it was 0-0 or tied 2-2, 1-1, they were up 2-1, maybe if they were up 2-0. But I mean, they just fold every time. So I think the Cubs just move on there. The Dodgers are phenomenal. I think they beat the Cubs. I think we're going to see a Houston Astros, Los Angeles Dodgers World Series. And I don't know if ratings are going to be that high for that. As big of a market as the Dodgers are and everything that's going on with Houston, I don't think that is what people wanted to see. Cleveland, Cubs, people wanted to see that. Red Sox, Cubs, people will watch that. I don't think people are going to watch Astros, Dodgers. I could be wrong. I think the Astros walk away with their first World Series. They have the pitching staff. They have the lineup for sure. I just don't see a way a team can out-heart them. There's not many teams better than them, obviously. But then it comes to will. Cleveland's up there, but I don't think they get past the Yankees. The Cubs are up there. I don't think they get past the Dodgers. I would like to see an Astros-Cubs World Series. I think that would be awesome. Even though they beat the Red Sox, I'm rooting for the Astros. I want the Astros to win. I like Altuve. I like Springer. Dallas Keuchel is the man. That's who I want to win. I'm still MLB wise. I'm not sure who's going to win Cy Young, MVP, anything like that. If I had to guess, I would say Altuve would win the MVP. And I really, really want Sale to win. But can I vote for Sale over Bauer? I don't think I can. So, or even Corey Kluber. Corey Kluber could win it too. I guess Kluber would probably be a better. I'm thinking of him over Bauer. I'm thinking Corey Kluber and Jose Altuve for the AL. For the NL, I just don't understand how you don't give it to Giancarlo Stanton. I mean, he slugged his way to I guess basically the MVP. And then I don't know who's going to win the Cy Young for the NL. Scherzer, Kershaw, Greinke. I want Greinke to win. Probably Kershaw. I mean, he went 18-4 with a 2.31 ERA. You got to give it to him, I guess, right? So we'll keep an eye on obviously that, but we'll keep an eye on the playoffs, see how that goes. But is it next week? Is it a week from today? A week from today, the NBA starts. We got the Celtics and the Cavs kicking it off. If there's a better way to kick off the season than Celtics Cavs after what happened this offseason, I would love to know what it is. Because I don't think there's a better way. So you have that game, then you have Warriors and Rockets. That's going to be phenomenal as well. I still think the Cavs and Celtics are going to meet in the Eastern Conference Finals. Super early prediction. I think the Warriors. Could the Rockets, I guess? Oklahoma City. Warriors, Oklahoma City would be fun. I'm going to pick that just because I want to see Russ and Durant. I still want them to play in a Western Conference Finals against each other. I hope the Celtics beat the Cavs. And I think the Warriors are still the best team in the West, probably the league. I'm not picking a championship yet. I'll wait. I'm going to get Joel on here. We're going to talk about that in the future. And my MVP to my super early prediction before watching a single regular season game. And everyone who knows me knows it's going to hurt me to say this. I want to say LeBron James. The guy, he's not showing any signs of slowing down. He just lost Kyrie Irving, so he's going to need to step up. If the Cavs want to make it to another finals, it's going to be on his back. And I think he's more than prepared to do that. So I think he's going to win MVP over Russ, over Curry, over Kyrie, over Durant. I mean, he has I guess, right now, out of the people that I would think would win, besides maybe Kawhi Leonard, the least amount of help. And he's still the best player in the world. As much as it pains me to say that. He's not the best player ever, but he's the best player in the world. Guys, it has been amazing to get back to this. We are going to continue to do this every single week. Joel is going to be with me in the future. And we are extremely happy to be part of the B.S.N network to help grow this network. Until next time, guys. Take care.